Hey, Vicki Christner here with Fieldstone Real Estate. Happy to come to you today to share a little market update for Loudoun County through October 2021. Now, I'm going to speed through a couple of bar graphs here, but I do want you to know that they are mostly 10-year histories. And again, for Loudoun County through October 2021. Headlines are still good news. Prices are up. This 10-year history shows you that prices here in Loudoun have been on a pretty steady upswing, and median prices are around $600,000 currently. Inventory is still low. Here in the Northern Virginia area, we typically consider a 3-month inventory to be a balanced market, and as you can see, it's been several years since we've seen that. Since July 2020, we've been well below a 1-month inventory. And when prices are up and inventory is down, it can only mean one thing. That's right, folks. It's still a seller's market. And when it's a seller's market, what does that mean? Well, for one thing, it's not taking long to sell. As this graph shows, it's hovering about 1 to 2 weeks of marketing time. And even more important than how long it's going to take to sell, here's the news sellers always really want to know. They are getting their prices. Look at this graph. Since March of 2020, sellers have been receiving 100% or more of their asking price. A little bigger picture here. Closed sales are up year to date by about 14% in units sold, which is totaling almost $1 billion more in dollar volume. But one thing you might notice over here on the upper right-hand side is that closed sales are down just a little from last month and also from this time last year. But what everyone really wants to know is it going to stay like this? How long can it last? And folks, I wish I could tell you. Here's what I can tell you. We did start to see a change since Q2. You'll notice over in the right-hand side that for the first quarter of 2021, we were definitely running behind and lagging in new listings. But starting in the second quarter and continuing well into the third, we started to have more listings. This is normal when prices go up. Sellers decide they want to take advantage of it. This is so true, in fact, that I personally sold 2 homes this year for people who decided to move into an RV full time, at least for the time being. So this is my favorite statistic. This is the absorption rate. And this compares new listings, the number of new listings to the number of new contracts. And it gives me an idea as to how this year is comparing to last year and how our seasonal flow is going. It gives me some information that I can build off of to help predict what's going to happen next. And you can see each of those yellow arrows there. Those are the highest absorption peaks in each year, and they're pretty predictable pattern. I mean, obviously some years are better than others, but the pattern itself is pretty predictable, and typically March or April have our highest absorption rates. And knowing that gives me a lot of information that I can share with both my buyers and sellers about when it's the right time to sell and when you can expect to find something on the market and have more than 2 hours to decide if you want to buy it. But then you can see what happens when COVID hits. The spring market the bottom fell out of the spring market, and then the market in general went haywire. I couldn't predict anything. I don't think anybody could. And then came 2021, and we started taking masks off, and we started being able to travel again, and things started to change again. And I'm going to show you what the result has been within the real estate market, how that's played out. So on the top here, I have that January through October pattern for that absorption rate. And the numbers are different. Our absorption rates are much higher this year than typical. But if you notice on the right side of that red line all the way down, comparing 2017, 18, 19, and 21. We skipped 20 because it just doesn't make any sense that year at all. But you can see it looks a little bit more like normal. It looks a little more familiar. And in fact, it looks a lot like 2018's pattern. So this is giving me some confidence that we're returning to a more familiar pattern. It's still a little too early to tell, so we're going to be watching it every single month. But that's what I'm thinking right now, and that's what I'm building off of. If you've held on this long through all of this boring statistical stuff, thank you so much. It must mean you have some interest in the real estate market, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about how all of this impacts you personally and how you can use this to make good real estate decisions. My contact information is on the slide, and I hope to hear from you soon.